Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of Oodles of Riddles. This, my friends, is the final episode of the Groove Metal Meltdown, a series counting down my top 20 groove metal albums. If you have not watched the first 3 episodes, I highly recommend that you stop this video and go back and watch the first 3 in the series so that you're all caught up. But without further ado, if you have been following along, let's get right to it. Coming in at number 16, we have The Day Everything Became Nothing with Brutal. Now the question here is, guys, does groovy gore grind count as groove metal?
This is my list, and I say that it does.
This album was released on No Escape Records back in 2008. These guys hailed from Australia. I actually didn't know anything about them until I happened to see them live in Des Moines, Iowa, of all places. They were playing with another band from Australia who I was familiar with and liked a lot, called Fuck I'm Dead. They share members with Fuck I'm Dead, or shared members. I'm not sure what these guys' status is. I know No Escape Records is no longer a thing, but whatever the case, these guys blew me away. So heavy, so groovy, great fucking drumming, and they were super nice guys to boot, especially the drummer. I talked to him for a little while, asked him a bunch of dumb questions.
I'm sure he thought I was a total weirdo,
but he was so nice to me. I happily bought this CD from him and took it home, played it, and just loved it. Was equally blown away by it as I was by their live performance. Again, this is just heavy, groovy, gross, disgusting gore grind. Very simplistic, but very awesome. Love the pitch-shifted vocals. Love the fucking drumming on this thing. And I love the simplicity, not only in the songwriting and what have you, but also in the packaging. I mean, it's just a plain white cover with the band logo on the back. Plain white with the songs, and the song titles are just Roman numerals. So it doesn't get any more simple than that. Great fucking album. This is kind of a deep cut of groove metal, and they're fucking awesome. And if you haven't heard them, definitely check out The Day Everything Became Nothing. I believe this album is on Spotify, so there's no excuse. Check it out. Up next, guys, we have an album that is very near and dear to my heart. That is Prong with Cleansing. This was released on Epic Records in 1994. Most people know this album for Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck. And there's a little sticker on my copy that says, listen to track 3, Snap Your Fingers, Snap Your Neck. It is commanding you to listen to that song. And it is, Prong's most famous song, and with good reason. It's a great fucking song. But there's tons of good songs on here. And the question that always comes to mind when I listen to this album is Tommy Victor the greatest guitarist in groove metal? And I have to say yes. The fucking riffcraft on this album is just superb. He kicks so much ass on everything he does, but this is one of his best performances of all time. Speaking of performances, this album also features Paul Raven on bass, the dearly departed Paul Raven, who also played in Killing Joke and Ministry and a bunch of other cool bands. His bass playing on this just kicks so much fucking ass, and I can't say enough good things about this album. It's groovy, it's heavy, it's kind of got a little bit of an industrial vibe to it. It is Prong's best album. It is a classic album. If you have not heard this, turn this fucking video off and go listen to Cleansing. It fucking rules. This was also, I should mention, produced by Terry Date, who worked with Machine Head, Overkill, and Soundgarden, to name but a few. This is Prong, Cleansing, an all-time classic album. Not just of groove metal, but of metal in general. You need to hear this album if you have not. Coming in at number 18, we have Brujeria with Brujerismo. This was released on Roadrunner Records in 2000. Brujeria's third album. By this point in time, they were a big band, and I don't mean big as in famous and popular. I mean big as they had a fuck ton of members. There were 11 members of Brujeria by the time this came out. One of the most prominent being Assassino, aka Dino Cazares, who also is known for Fear Factory, of course. And this album definitely has a Fear Factory influence in the riffing and the songwriting. It's got a very mechanical, almost industrial feel, but at the same time is very groovy. This would be Dino Cazzara's last album with Brujeria. He would go on to form a spin-off band called Assassino, which I believe also features Tony Campos from Static X, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever the case, this is one of the Brujeria's best albums, in my opinion. Again, it's just groovy, it's heavy, it's crushing, but at the same time, it's catchy. Even though the lyrics are in Spanish and I don't speak a lick of Spanish, I still find it to be quite catchy. All Brujeria's albums are worth listening to, in my opinion, but this is one of their best. That is a Brujerismo. Up next, guys, we have Grip Inc. with their final album, Incorporated. This was released on Steamhammer back in 2004. Grip Inc. is probably best known as being the band that Dave Lombardo formed after leaving Slayer. They released only 4 albums, but all 4 albums are super amazing. This one was their final album, and I think it was their best album. It's just very experimental and very sophisticated, but still very heavy, very groovy, very aggressive. Love Lombardo's drumming on just about anything he's on, but I also have to mention guitar player / producer Waldemar Sorcha. His playing is fantastic. The production on this album is fantastic. I'd go so far as to say it's the best produced Grip Inc. album. It just sounds fucking awesome. This one I don't feel like a lot of people know about. They probably know more of Grip Inc.'s earlier albums like Power of Inner Strength and Solidify. And those are great albums too, but this one is just, their sound just matured and blossomed into something fucking fantastic. No other band at the time sounded like this, and I still don't think there's another band that really fully sounds like Grip Inc. I have to mention the vocal performance of Gus Chambers, who unfortunately passed away back in 2008. So not too terribly long after this was released, unfortunately, but he was just such a fantastic vocalist. Had a little bit of a punk edge to his vocals, but could just do a great pure singing voice or just be really aggressive. He just had one of those really versatile voices, and it really shows, especially on this album. This is like fucking one of the dark horse albums on this list. I feel like this is an album that never gets talked about. I feel like Grip Inc. in general doesn't really ever get their due, but they really should. I own their whole discography, and it's fucking fantastic. This is an album you need to check out, guys. This is Grip Inc. with Incorporated. Coming in last, guys, but certainly not least, you knew they were on here. You knew they were coming. This is
the goddamn mighty Pantera
with Far Beyond Driven. And look how fucking blue this album cover is. You knew if I was going to put a Pantera album on here, and I had to fucking put a Pantera album on here, you knew goddamn well I was going to be the one with the blue cover. But in all seriousness, this is my favorite Pantera album. I think it's their best album, and it was a major gateway album for me. There was a time when this was the heaviest, most fucking evil thing that I had ever heard, and it opened my world up to so much other shit, you know. Would I have ever gotten into black metal or death metal or grindcore if I hadn't first heard shit like Pantera and Sepultura? Maybe I would have. I don't know, but goddamn, if this album in particular didn't open the floodgates. This album has so many amazing songs. I mean, fucking Jesus Christ, it opens up with Strength Beyond Strength, then Becoming, then 5 Minutes Alone, then I'm Broken. It just keeps hitting you over the fucking head with cinder blocks, man, or like it puts your head between 2 cinder blocks and then starts bashing the cinder blocks with sledgehammers, you know what I'm saying? This thing is so fucking heavy. Terry Date strikes again. That goddamn motherfucker was just busier than shit in 1994, apparently. Pantera was fucking killing it. Phil's vocals are so fucking intense on this one. You've got the brothers, Dime and Vinny doing their thing, Rex holding down the bass. This is just a killer album front to back. Again, my favorite Pantera album, the best Pantera album. Probably the greatest groove metal album of all time. I'm probably going to get shit for that. I don't care. Pantera, Far Beyond Driven. You've all heard this one. You all know Pantera. This is no alarms, no surprises, but it is a goddamn motherfucking classic right here. Alright guys, that wraps it up for the Groove Metal Meltdown. Oodles of Brutal's top 20 groove metal albums. Until next time guys, thanks for watching and take care. Peace!